or according to the client.
So we talk about 3 specific areas. Hey, Troy,
Hey,
how's it going?
good. I was trying to bring it to my laptop. I don't know if y'all could resend it or something, an email or something, maybe. Let me check my email.
I sent you the link in an email just earlier.
Okay, let me check that.
Okay.
Okay, here it is. All right, I'm coming out of this other one.
There we go. Awesome.
All right.
Perfect.
How's everyone doing today?
Great.
Doing
How are
great.
you?
Good.
Very good.
Apologize for the tardiness.
No sweat. We were having some Zoom difficulties anyway, so per usual. No, you figured we would have it figured out by now, but the Zoom issues still persist.
And they will. You know, technology, we're always going to have that problem.
That's right. Yeah, we were just talking high level about, what, from a conceptual standpoint, what accusation audits are, and I was just about to go into the 3 specific areas, but they're not limited to, right? So the 3 areas that Black Swan Group recommends using them are at the beginning of a negotiation, when you have the opportunity to consider what that counterparty might be harboring against you or your company. Whenever you're going to deliver an ask, or when you're going to deliver bad news. Anything else you would share with us around accusation audits?
Well, the good thing about the accusations audits are that if you're doing it at the beginning, before at the beginning of the conversation, you want to try to get as many of them in as you can. You want to be robust with your accusations audits. Usually in your profession, whatever your profession is, you've heard a lot of these things in the past that are negative. You want to take those and you want to create accusations audits with those, because those are commonly thought comments by the counterpart. You want to get out in front of it before they do. You know they're going to become the elephant in the room. If you get out in front of it first, they're hearing it being put out there in the ether, in the world, before they've ever said it. They're going to respect you more. They're going to value you as being an honest individual. If it's something that they weren't thinking, they're not going to start thinking it. So when you do it in the beginning, you get out in front of it, and we always talk about the fairness doctrine. I don't know if y'all are familiar with the fairness doctrine. A lot of times when you deal with the counterpart, if they want to talk about fairness, they'll use that as a tool to hem you in, so that later on, when they do something that's unfair, you can't question it, because they've already told you about, hey, we're going to be fair with you. We want to make sure that we're fair. So you want to get out in front of it first. And the fairness doctrine is when you're sitting there saying in the accusations audit, we want to be fair with you. And if at any time during this stage of our conversation, you feel like I'm not being unfair or unreasonable, I want you to stop me, and we'll go back to where that unreasonableness began, and we'll go from there. So you want to take your time. You want to say it in the late night DJ voice that we talk about, so that they understand it's clear. You're giving them the opportunity, if there's something that they feel like is not fair to them, to stop you, so that you can go back to that point where that unfairness began, or where the unreasonableness began. Now you put it out on the table first. So later on down the road, they can't come back and say, you were being unfair. I asked you to stop me at any point that you felt like that I was being unreasonable, or unfair with you. And then you say, well, let's go back to that part where you felt like that began, and we'll start from there. Now, before and ask, you want to get 2 or 3 of the accusations audits in. Why would you do that before and ask?
Some level of emotional anchoring.
Okay.
Whatever,
else?
Whatever you say after that is not going to seem as, it's not going to seem as much of an ask if you're using an audit before it.
Right. When you use that audit, you're putting in their mind that you get ready to ask them the worst possible thing that they can imagine. You probably think I'm getting ready to bust your budget, especially when you're talking about money. And they're like, oh Lord, how much is he going to want for this? You know? So then if it's something in the realm of where they feel comfortable, they can do it, it's doable, they're going to breathe a sigh of relief. That's why you're always listening and you're looking with your eyes at the person. That's why we usually ask people to come up on the screen, because you get to see, oh man, it wasn't that bad. But you hit them with those accusations audits before you did your ask, so they're thinking the worst possible thing. And then when it's not as bad as what they were expecting, they're more comfortable with it. Before you have to deliver bad news, that's the next place. If you know you're going to have to deliver bad news, thank you, we're not able to do that. You want to hit them with a couple of accusations audits. You probably think I've just been wasting your time all day. You may even believe that I don't value how important of a client you are. We just can't do that. So you want to hit them with the accusations audits in a manner where you're making their heart start to race a little bit. They're thinking, what's coming next? And then you hit them with what you have to tell them. And now their sigh of relief is going to be such a relief to them that it wasn't as bad as I thought. Maybe we could still work through it. Go ahead.
What about the words that you use? Can you talk a little bit about, if you're saying you're probably going to think this versus it may seem like I'm about to do this. What's
you can do that. The difference is, if you know that they're thinking it, you can be more direct. If you heard these things time and time again, or they've said it in the past, you can even say, I know you're thinking that, because they said it in the past. So you can be more direct. You don't have to say I'm probably, you may, you might. That let them know that you've listened to them. You heard them loud and clear. And so it's dependent upon the impact that you want to have, the relationship that you have with the individual, things that they may have said in the past, to let you know that you're letting them know that you've heard them loud and clear. You've listened to all the things that they've said in the past. So there's times when you don't say probably, you say, I know that you're having a hard time with this situation or whatever it is. And they're like, yeah, because you heard it come out of their mouth. Now you've just given it right back to them. And they're like, wow, they're like, man, Michael really listened to me. And he's not afraid to address it. You have to. It's the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
It's not going to go away. Even when you're doing labels and mirrors, from time to time, if you have an opportunity, sprinkle in one of the accusations audits that you haven't gotten in. It may be the one that later on keep you from getting in trouble, because that's the one that you were saying, they're not thinking that. And then at the end, right before you ask or whatever, they come back and hit you with that one that you thought wasn't going to be that important. So every chance you get, sprinkle them in. If you're doing it in the beginning, try to get in as many as you can. When they stop you, and they'll normally stop you. I'm working with a client right now. I gave him homework. I said, in your industry, give me as many accusations audits as you can, and I'm going to talk with him tomorrow. He actually emailed them to me today, and I was looking over them, and he had about 25 on the list.
Oh, wow.
And he said, do you think I'm going to get through all of them? And some of them are very, very rough. And I like that because they sound so hard that the people would probably say, I wasn't thinking that. No. They're going to feel sorry for him. So I like that he took the initiative. And at first, when we first started talking, he was telling me, I don't know if I could say that. I said, do you think the other person is thinking that? He goes, well, yeah. I said, then if you don't say it, it's going to come back to bite you when you least expect it. So when he sent me the list today, it was very robust, and I like that. And he went deeper than what he normally would have gone. He tried to keep it like surface level, like a little slap on the hand. And when he sent it to me, it was like being slapped in the face. And I said, that's even better. That's going to help you get better towards tactical empathy. They're going to respect the fact that you're not afraid to say what they're thinking. Chris, I know you had your hand up. You have something you want to say?
I was just wondering, does delivery and the words you choose within accusations audit depend on the type of negotiator? The three types your group has mentioned, the authority figure, the analyzer, and then the accommodator. Does it matter on those, or you just deliver it in the same way?
You just deliver it in the same way. You always want to do it with deference. You want to do it with humility.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be humble. You want to say it in a way that, man, I have to tell you this. Let me get it out. Mm-hmm. There's only been one time that some of the team have talked about where we dealt with one person where they had like 16 or 17 accusations audits, and the other side let them get through all 17.
Wow.
And then they started panicking because they felt like everything they had said had to be so bad that the people didn't even want to stop them. They wanted to get off, everything they were saying. And that wasn't the case. The counterpart was just very polite. They didn't want to interrupt them. And when they got a chance to talk, they go, oh, we weren't thinking those things. There were one or two on there that they agreed with, that they ended up having to work through. But the majority of them, they weren't thinking, but they were just very polite. They didn't want to interrupt the counterpart. And so this person started getting in their head. Now they're almost wanting to negotiate against themselves. But thank goodness they had sense enough to remember dynamic silence. Put them out there, give them a minute to process it. And right before he was getting ready to start talking again, they responded. And boy, he had the sigh of relief, like, okay, it wasn't as bad as I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Troy, to that point, would you say that an accommodator is far more likely to let you get further down your list, or do you see any correlation with that? Or
I don't think the accommodator will let you get further down your list. If you built a rapport early with the accommodator, when you first start, if you say it with humility, an accommodator is looking for a friend. In the moment, they want that friend. So you think a friend is going to let you say all these bad things that they may think about you and let you get all the way down the list? They're going to say, no, I wasn't thinking that. I would never think that about you because I want to be your friend. So I'm trying to build that relationship. The assertive, they're going to stop you because they want to get through. They just want their chance to talk. Let me tell you how it's going to be. Respect me. I'll get us through this. You just go along for the ride. The analyst is going to listen, but as you start getting through them, they're going to get tired of listening because you're not giving them data. So the analyst is going to say, hey, I'm not thinking that, or I'm not worried about that. Let's get down to the meat and potatoes.
if they don't give you a direct next step, what are some strategies in terms of reading and reacting, once you've made the delivery, it's been silent, what's a good next step?
So if you get through your accusations audit and they don't say anything, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you want to label. It seems like I'm failing to be sensitive to something that matters to you. And wait for them to respond. And they go, well, no. That's when you want to hit them with the vision. It sounds like you may have a plan or a vision on how you want to see this thing play out. And hit them with a no-oriented question. Would it be impossible for you to share that vision with me?
I like that one.
And if they say, sure, I'll share it. Or no, we don't, right now, we want to know some other things before we get to that point of sharing what we want to talk about with you. That means they're trying to get data from you also. And how do you get around that? How would you get around it?
Seems like you have a reason for asking that or saying that.
Seems like you have a reason for saying that. Don't just start word vomiting information to them. Turn it back on them. It seems like you have a reason for saying that. Yeah, well, because we want to know what your position is first. Thank them. Thank you. It sounds like you don't have any trust in me. I haven't earned your trust yet. That's what they're telling you. You haven't earned their trust enough for them to want to share what they want you to know. So they want to pick apart what you have and see if it's close to online with what they have or the direction that they want to go in. If you're doing that, you're putting out all your information first, you're doing most of the talking, you're not building tactical empathy. So you have to be willing to listen. When you throw out accusations, audits, and they respond, you can't be sitting in your head preparing what you're going to say next. That's the hardest thing not to do. We want to use these black swan skills and we're not paying attention. Oh, I'm going to label them next. Well, if you be quiet and let them tell you what they're going to say, you're going to either label or mirror based on what they're saying. But when you're sitting there and you're planning what you're going to say next, because one of the skills just worked and you're happy, you got them talking. Now you miss the next part of the conversation because you're planning what you're going to say next. Remember, with these skills, any one of the skills that we use, it's a conversation. Every time you open your mouth, you do not have to use one of the black swan skills. Have a conversation with them. And when appropriate, use the skill that you feel like is most appropriate for that moment. When I talk to somebody, everything that comes out of my mouth is not a black swan skill.
I think it goes back to your intuition, right? Your gut, being able to listen to your gut and use it, be flexible enough to use the skills in situations where your gut is telling you it's a good opportunity to throw out a label or to mirror or so on and so forth.
Yes. So when you're doing that, let me, Jonathan, what do you do for a living, Jonathan?
I'm a value engineer, which means I'm in a sales support role.
Okay, sales support role. What?
Sales support role. It means it's my job to help the salespeople close bigger deals faster.
Sounds like you're sitting there helping people get better at what they do so that they have a better livelihood.
That's right. Well,
So I
maybe
got it.
not
That's
that.
right. So I got it. That's right already from him. You know, so now I'm understanding him, and I had no idea what he did for a living. So what do you like to do for fun?
What do I like to do for fun? I enjoy playing with my children and sometimes video games.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds like your children, they enjoy when you come home and you get to spend some quality time with them.
Very much so. Definitely the highlight of my day.
How many do you have?
I have two. I have a almost 3-year-old daughter and a 8-month-old son.
So the 8-month-old doesn't seem like he really have a grasp on things, but the 3-year-old is probably daddy's girl.
She is. She just started nursery school as well. So that's been very interesting for all of us.
What's her name?
Theodora.
Theodora?
Yeah,
what
but
you
we
said.
call her Teddy.
How did you come up with a name like that?
Oh, it's an old family name.
So it sounds like somebody in your family had that name and you wanted to keep that name in the family.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And your wife, what does she do?
She does art conservation.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Art conservation.
Yeah.
How-
So yeah.
How did she get into something like that?
She knew someone who was interested in it and who had a studio, and she did an apprenticeship, and now that's what she does full time.
Oh. Is it successful? Is it a lucrative business?
I don't know if lucrative is the right word, but she definitely finds it very satisfying.
Okay. So it sounds like it's something that she's passionate about, not something that she's focused on making a lot of money off of.
Exactly.
Good, good. See, we just had a conversation. Everything wasn't a black swan moment. I got to know a little bit about Jonathan, know that he has 2 children, a 3-year-old little girl, 8-month-old little boy. His wife is into art conservation. And we could have gone further down that road. What does that even mean? So when you have these conversations, you put people at ease when you talk to them versus focusing so much on saying something that's a black swan. Oh, I got to hit them with a calibrated question. Or I have to throw accusations audit in there.
That's my problem.
Yeah, have the conversation. Get to know the other person. We tell people all the time, and I don't know if y'all have ever met Derek Gaunt. He's one of the top people in the team. He's been doing this for years. And he says when he was a negotiator supervisor, the commander for the negotiations unit in his department, he would rather have people whose tone was good than somebody who had the skills and didn't know how to talk to people. You win people over by your tone, how sincere you are in wanting to know something about them. If you're just talking and saying, using the skills and they don't land right because you sound mechanical, you sound robotic, you'll come back to us and say, man, these skills don't work. And then we'll ask you, well, how did you use them? How did you use the accusations audits? You probably think I'm the craziest person in the world. Right? So now you just said it in a way that you're starting to piss them off. And you don't even realize it because that's your demeanor. That's how you talk. Get better at your tone and how you talk to people, and all these skills will land a lot better. Even if you miss the mark, they're going to be more willing to want to help you. You know what? I like Troy. You know, he seems pretty cool. Don't always agree with him, but I like him. People are 6 times more willing to do something with you or want to do something with you if they like you.
Mhm.
As a full-time hostage negotiator, y'all probably never know how many mistakes I made. I probably wouldn't know, but just because I was polite to the person and showed that I genuinely cared about them, even if I didn't like what they did to the kids, or they holding the hostage. I didn't like what they did, the things we could hear in the background, the things they said to me, but my tone never showed that. And in the end, every one of them that came out, and I've never lost one, they always wanted to shake my hand and apologize for the way they spoke to me. And y'all know what we were selling them, right?
Jail time.
Jail time. How hard is that to have somebody sitting in a room? 93% of the time, we were able to convince them to come out and go to jail.
Crazy.
These skills are something that you have to work at. You know, the three main places that you want to use accusations audits in the beginning. People go, well, I can't use it in the beginning. They don't even know me. But in your industry, you know what people are thinking. You know what you'd be thinking if they called you. Put those things on paper. Get out in front of it. They're going to feel like, man, he's pulling the Jedi mind trick on me. He knows what I'm thinking before I even say it. She knows what I'm thinking before I even say it. And when they do that, guess what? You're going to start building that trust-based influence. You're going to start building tactical empathy. They're going to be willing to have that communication, that conversation with you. How
Quick
many
question.
people? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. After binge watching your whole entire YouTube channel, it seems like the accusation audits are not designed for emails or written conversations. Is that still the case?
Right. When you do emails and written conversations, you give people time to think. You know, they get a chance to go back, read over the email 15 times before they decide to respond. You know, if you want to use it, just use one or two, put them in the header. You know, have you given up on us? You know, you want to ask them a calibrated question. Have you given up on following up on this project? People hate to feel like quitters. So normally they'll respond. We actually had a training going on and we told the group that, and one of the ladies immediately after we said it, sent the email to somebody that had ghosted her. And she direct messaged me and said, hey, Troy, I just sent an email to this person who ghosted me about 3 weeks ago and we haven't heard back from them. I want to see if this stuff works. 5 minutes later, before we got ready to finish the training for that day, she direct messaged me. I got an email from her. I said, hold on, I'm gonna bring you up on the screen. So I told Sandy, I said, listen, Sandy, I want you to hear what just happened. Because there were some skeptics in her group. And she told them, man, for 3 weeks, I have been trying to get back with this person. I sent them emails and they just ignored me. I called, they didn't take the call. Because I put that in the header and within 5 minutes, they responded. No, we've just been very busy. You know, we very much want to be in conversation. We want to get back into conversation. And so she goes, well, what do I do now? What would you guys do? What would y'all do in that situation once they said that? I'm asking you, what would you do?
I would have responded.
How? What would you have said?
I would have been more apologetic than anything.
After she responded to you, I'm talking about. She says, no, the email came back in 5 minutes saying, hey, I'm sorry, we've been so busy, but we still want to have this conversation and we want to go forward with this program.
I got you. Okay.
So what would your next steps be?
Suggest a time to talk.
Sylvia, I like the way
take
you
it through the process. Yeah.
I like the way you think. How do we get back to the conversation to the telephone? Give them several options. When they say, you know what, my calendar's busy, but that day works best for me. Y'all ever heard of the rule of three?
Mhm.
Yep.
You want to use the rule of three. So Tuesday afternoon would work best for you. Sounds like that's the day that you have some time in your schedule. Yeah. Tuesday works best for me. So I should expect a call or a call or a Zoom link coming to me before Tuesday. Yeah. And then you want to know how. How are we going to get together? Well, I'm going to send you the Zoom link, and then you can put it on your calendar, and we'll make sure that it works out for both of us. Okay. So what am I supposed to do, or what am I supposed to expect if I don't see the Zoom link? Oh, no. I'm gonna send it to you. Matter of fact, I'm gonna send it to you right now. So now you just tied them into getting the Zoom link together, sending it to you. Drive them to the phone, drive them to Zoom. Don't let another 3 weeks go by because you're happy that they responded to the email. No. Accusations, audits. You probably think I'm being pushy. You may even wondering why you even took this call. Throw a couple of them in there. No. I've just been swamped. Can't be afraid to use them.
Cool.
Anything
Amazing.
else?
Yeah, we had everyone prepare 6 audits based off of a situation. So the situation was exactly that, right? You're coming to the table with a new counterpart. You've yet to engage with them. What could they be harboring against you or your company? So
Okay. Want to go around the room?
Sure, I can start us off. So I work at Oracle, huge tech company. I'm in a new business role, right? So it's my job to acquire new business. And something that I heard on a call as I just joined really struck me, right? So I think my audit in that situation would be something like, because Oracle is such a huge company, you probably feel like you're not going to get the attention you need to be successful, that we're not nimble or flexible, that our solutions are too expensive, and that as a salesperson, I'm only looking out in my best interest.
So let's go back. Was that all one, or was that 5 or 6?
That was 5 or 6.
Okay. Remember, dynamic silence. You may think you're not going to get the attention you deserve because Oracle is such a big company. You probably think we don't care about your interest. You want to count off 1001, 1002. When you rush through them like that, they don't land. You want them to think about what you're saying. You want them to hear what you're saying. So be confident. Know the importance of what the accusations audits will do. They're like, wow, I was kind of thinking that, Oracle's looking at me as a little fish in a big pond, and they're not going to have time for me. That I'm not going to get the attention that I feel like I deserve. You're putting it out there before they're putting it out there. But when you rush through them and compile them all together like that, you've just taken away the effect of the accusations audit because you just rush through it. Slow down.
Yep.
Okay. But those are good audits. Really good audits. You're recognizing what the pushback is in your industry, and you're bringing it out to the forefront before they say it. That's good. Next, Who else wants to go?
I'll go. So
Okay.
as you expertly found out, I'm in value engineering, and a big part of what I do is do business cases with current and potential clients, which generally involves a fair amount of work, which can get into some very sensitive data. So for me, the pathway that I did would be something like, I have a really big ask of you. Might take your team a significant amount of time, and it's probably going to add some work to your workload.
Okay. Anybody else want to say something about what he said or how he said it?
I think some of the similar feedback, just slowing it down and then some dynamic silence after each audit.
Anyone else?
And deference, I think you had more of like a playful tone.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? So what I heard was, it's about me. I have a really big ask. So right away, they're thinking, how much more work do I have to do? You're not making you have to say it in a way you can tweak it and put like a 2 millimeter shift on it. You may think I don't appreciate how hard you work.
You think I'm not being very respectful of your time?
There you go. There you go. You probably think I'm not going to be respectful of your time.
This
You
whole
might even think
process
I
might
don't.
be a waste of time.
Right. I don't value you as a partner.
You
When
might
you
even
say it,
think that this is just unnecessary homework.
there you go. Now, when you say things like that, that's what they're thinking in their head. Man, Jonathan's getting ready to pile more work on my plate that's unnecessary. That's how you want to think. When you think like that, they're going to say, man, wow, Jonathan, man, he knows me. He understands what I'm going through. You're building tactical empathy. That's when those accusation audits land. Next.
I'm ready if that's okay, guys.
Go.
Sure.
Okay, guys, what I do is I'm a commercial real estate entrepreneur, basically looking to do real estate development ground up for multi-tenant retail. So like little strip centers, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pitching to real estate investors to get their capital to invest with my deal.
Okay.
So I know you might be thinking multi-tenant retail is dead because Amazon ate them alive.
Okay. Now,
And I know, oh, sorry.
hold on. We're going to pause you right there.
Okay.
But because are erasing words. No, so you want to stop it before you get to that. We always tell people if you have to use but or because, that's where you want to use dynamic silence. If you're explaining, you're losing. Ronald Reagan said that. So go back, do it from where you were at, and we'll see how to dress it up.
I know you may be thinking multi-tenant retail is dead. Amazon ate them alive. And you may be thinking, I've got a lot of nerve because I've never done this kind of deal before to ask you to invest with me. Heck, you might think I'm really crazy. Development deals are just too risky.
Okay, go back to the last one. What did you hear? Say it again, and then tell me when you should stop.
Okay. Heck, you may be thinking development deals are just too risky.
And you stopped at the because, right? You see the difference? Do y'all see the difference?
Yeah.
That's
Now
a
you
work
just-
area. That's a work area for me.
Right.
I know I because all over the place.
Right. But when you did that, everybody had to think about, is development really risky? But when you threw the because in there, now you're explaining it to us again. We're not smart enough to figure it out ourselves. So now we don't have to pay attention as much. It don't land as well. So when you practice, everywhere you want to say because, put this acronym WAIT. Do y'all know what that means?
No.
Why am I talking?
Okay.
Wait, let it land. And I can't take credit for that. One of our clients came up with that. He realized that during the conversations, he was doing most of the talking, and he came up with wait. And he said, just by doing that, remembering that acronym, when he wanted to say something and he started saying that to himself in his head, he got so much more data from the other side, so much more information. So we asked for permission to use that, and they gave it to us. All right, so now you understand where to cut it off. You have some good accusations audits. Don't explain it. All right.
Chris or Sylvia, you want to share yours?
I'm open unless Sylvia wants to go.
No, go ahead, because because of just what I learned, I have to rearrange it in my head because now it's different. I will not say because anymore. That was the last time. Zip.
Now, I work for a community college, so the scenario that was listed, I couldn't think of how it would necessarily apply to me. When I first read it, I remembered a video from Chris Voss talking about how a bigger company would negotiate with a smaller company. So I just went that route. So it's more of a hypothetical than anything else.
Okay.
You're probably thinking we are some bully trying to establish a monopoly on the market since we recently bought out our competition. You probably think our prices are too high and we're going to price gouge you. You probably feel intimidated by the offer we're about to make and that you're going to lose what you've spent years building.
Okay. Any comments, anyone?
First sentence had an explanation in it. I think because he said something because, and I forgot what the exact sentence was.
Say what you said on the first one, Chris.
I said, you're probably thinking we are some bully trying to establish a market on the, trying to establish a monopoly on the market since we recently bought out our competition.
The since, yeah, that sounded to me a bit like, oh yeah, they're dangerous.
So where could you have stopped at that?
Stopped as far as dynamic silence.
Yes.
Probably on monopoly.
Okay, so say it again.
So I initially stopped here. You probably think we are some bully trying to establish a monopoly.
Okay.
My
Now-
gut is telling me to stop there.
Right. Now they're thinking, uh-oh. Now they're getting worried,
Mhm.
right? And then you're throwing in because we did this or that. You don't need that.
Just leave that out. Okay.
Leave it hanging.
Leave it.
What is the accusations audit designed to do?
The emotional anchoring.
Get out the negatives,
Yeah.
with their negative thoughts, and make them feel like what's coming next is the worst thing coming. So when you do stop with your with the accusations audits, they're so relieved that it wasn't as bad as they thought it was.
Got it.
You know, so when you don't go all the way
Mm-hmm.
and feed them the rest of it, they're hungry for it. They want to know what it is.
Yeah. Give them only enough. Okay, good.
What's coming next?
Mhm.
So that's the way you have to think. That's the way I think. You know, and each one of the team members have a little different twist on it. I say that because I notice when I leave them hungry for more, but nervous about what's going to come next, they land better for me.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Next.
I can go next.
Okay, Sylvia.
And I didn't come up with 6 of them. So for me, it's extremely hard to think about those. So I work in a small company, the opposite of Michael, who is in a big one. So we have the same problems. You probably think that your data are not secure with us. And you may be concerned that we will go out of business. You probably are wondering whether you are wasting your budget. So that's the 3.
Those are good.
Yeah, those are good.
What did y'all think about what she said and how she said it?
They're good.
Yeah, I thought it was a good pace and good use of dynamic silence. I think there's definitely other ones that are opposite of my spectrum, right? Like, yeah, I think security is definitely something that a smaller company might be a concern of partnering with them. I think the other thing would be just not enough resources or market share or, you know, potential anything around your product. Like it's, you might be concerned that we don't have as many customers on our roster or
It's
logos
inferior.
on our website.
Yeah. So then those are things, that's why I like that the fact that Sylvia, you recognize Michael's position. Michael, you recognize Sylvia's position. The 2 of you can help each other with your accusations audits. You know,
For sure.
I really like what you said, Sylvia. You
Thank
weren't
you.
afraid to say what you had to say. You probably think that we're too small of a company to do business with. Would you be thinking that, Michael?
100%. And if you don't say it, it's going to come up. I mean, literally the first call that I joined at Oracle, it was a customer call. I was just a fly on the wall. It didn't come up until the very end of the call when there was 5 minutes left, or he said that, honestly, you know, it's a concern of mine working with Oracle. You guys are huge. I don't think we're going to get the level of service that we need as a smaller company. And at that point, we haven't heard back from them right now. So because that wasn't diffused very early on, you know, that was lingering in his mind the whole time, and we're yet to get on a call with him again.
Yeah. And so that's why you and Sylvia, that's what I was saying, between the 2 of you, you guys can help each other. And I say, guys, I'm a Texan. You can help each other so much to get better. You can come from your position, Sylvia, Michael, you can come from your position. You guys can build some accusations audits that will diffuse each side. And when you're sitting at the table or on the telephone, you're going to knock the socks off of the other side because you're out in front of it.
And I like that you went after me, Sylvia, because it kind of emphasized the lesson that you were trying to make, Troy, as far as, you know, I gave too much. It was a clear lesson of how much I gave too much, and you were straight on the point. You gave them enough that they needed to hear. So that was very good, Sylvia.
But I have learned it from you and from the others who went before me. So thank you for that, because that's all the stuff I cut off after listening to you guys. So,
And that's what this training is about. That's what y'all getting together and helping each other get better is all about. We at Black Swan, we love this. We love the fact that you are taking it seriously. You genuinely want to get better. And you're helping each other get better.
Mhm.
We have one person left. Is it Sue Lee?
Yes.
Okay.
I used to work for IBM in Watson Lab, so I was very familiar with develop artificial intelligence, those kind of application. And after I left the company, sort of retired, become independent, and I trying to get people to support my side project. So that's what I'm talking to people. For example, I would say the project I'm doing is to trying to have an intelligent agent to work as a coach. And it seems that I sound like a scammer. And some of the information I trying to gather from you appear to be kind of trying to steal your identity.
Okay, so let's go back to the first one.
Okay.
Say it again.
Okay. It may sound like I'm a scammer trying to steal identity or private information from you to
Okay.
do this test.
Okay, just you can stop right there. Somebody else help her with that. How would you clean it up into an accusations audit?
It might feel like this is another spammy message, or might feel like you're about to get spammed.
Is it spammed or scammed?
I don't think spam and scam
Either way,
are.
okay.
You might feel like you can't trust me.
Right, okay.
I like that one.
When
Bad
people,
intentions.
okay, when people call you and your first thing out of their mouth is and it comes up as a spam call, or, you know, because nowadays it comes up as that on most calls. What would you be thinking when you got that phone call? Anybody, what would you be thinking when you saw it's a spam call? If you clicked on it and took it,
Car
would be the-
warranty.
So what would be the first thing in your head about that call that you would think?
take me off your calling list.
Mhm,
Yeah, like annoyance and waste of time.
mhm. So I know,
I get what you're saying. Okay.
I know you think it's another spam call. You probably think I'm a scammer. You might even be saying, take me off your call list.
Hmm.
Those are the things that people are thinking. Those are the things that one of the things Sylvia just said. I took it from her. Get them out there. And they're like, yeah, I am. Get it out there. People, when they hear you saying what they're thinking, they become curious. Because you're not saying what everybody else is saying. Everybody else is trying to get their pitch in. You can say, hey, you know, I'm not interested, and they're still going to read the script. You know, I had a guy call me, and I accusations audited him. They called me. I said, you're probably going to think I'm just another disrespectful customer. You may even think I don't appreciate that this is a job that you have to do to take care of your family. And the guy got quiet. He was expecting to start off with me. And, you know, and then I let him talk. And I threw him a curveball. He was talking to me about putting up solar on my roof. And I said to him, and I said it so humbly, I said, what would you say if I'm living in a tent? If I'm homeless, I'm trying to survive. The guy got quiet. Sir, I'm sorry. I didn't know that. I said, no, I didn't say I was just asking you, what would you say? I threw him for a loop. Gave me an opportunity to get some low stakes reps in. You know, and I hate that I did it at his expense. I don't really hate it. I just, I did it at his expense, but it taught him a valuable lesson. I took him right off of his game. And then you can go in and you can start talking to him about his life. Seems like, this is something that you're passionate about. Well, no, I have to do it because I need to make money. And you'll have them holding the whole conversation with you. And they forgot about the script.
Love that.
I know. Huh?
I just want to say the special magic, however, is in the tone, how you say that. So I noticed because it's like really special. It's hard to get that tone, like you mentioned in the beginning. It's more than just the late night DJ voice. There's some special warmth in it too, and that's how do we get that?
Practice. Every time you're going to get better. We tell people all the time, there's three things that can happen to you, and I know that you guys are working on getting better. You have this group. Y'all come up on it on your own time to make sure that you can grow. You have planned activities like accusations audits. I like this. I enjoy seeing people wanting to get better. At the Black Swan Group, we don't just do this because we're about the money or getting your money. We genuinely want to see people succeed. Genuinely want to see you succeed. When they put it on my calendar, I got a big old smile. Shay was like, man, you didn't have a problem with us? Not at all. We've done it once before. I enjoyed myself. I love to see you guys getting better. I love to see the passion that you have about wanting to grow. Don't ever lose that.
I'm also beginning to think, Michael, the importance of mindset too, because if I sit here and I watch a podcast from you guys or I read a chapter from the Never Split the Difference group and I'm thinking about the technique, that's when I stumble because I'm thinking about the technique and not about the situation itself. And when I think about, you've touched base on some of the short calls in your lessons as far as the importance of mindset. So I just, in my current level, below kindergarten level, when I think about mindset and being genuinely curious, being genuine, I'm going to be genuinely, I don't care about mirrors, labels, I'm just going to be genuinely empathetic. It seems like those things come more naturally. Am I on the right track with that?
You are. We teach a class called Caviar. Mm-hmm. Caviar is one of the things that I teach to tell you how to prepare before the negotiation. Get out of your own head. Mm-hmm. We get so consumed by trying to do the skills and all the other things that's going on in our world around us. Man, I got to pay a bill. So now when you say that, when you're sitting there thinking about that, guess what? You're not listening to the other person. You just took yourself offline for a second. Now you're trying to guess what they said in between the time that you missed what they were talking about. Man, when I get done with this, I'm going to have to send out this email. Now you're taking yourself offline again from listening to what they're talking about. Every time you do that, you have to work harder to try to figure out what they said, and sometimes you're guessing. We've always talked about how do you get your mindset ready before you start the conversation or the negotiation. Nobody, I haven't met anyone that can 100% all the time be focused on listening at the highest level. It's too draining. When we used to have call-ups, we knew the stakes were so high because it was normally a human life involved. So you had our undivided attention. And time flew by. You didn't realize sometimes that it was 5, 6, 8, 10 hours have gone by. The coach would have to say, you know what, we're going to switch you out. You've been going, no, I got it. No, you've been doing it too long. And then when you get out of the seat and you get a chance to sit down and take a break, even if you drink a cup of coffee, that adrenaline dump hits you. And man, you get so exhausted. I was on a call up on a Friday morning and I was fresh. And by the time they took me out of the chair and sent me home while they finished the rest of the negotiation, because there's 12 of us, they start weeding you out because if they need you for the next day, they need you to be ready. I woke up, it was Sunday. I missed all of Saturday and my wife didn't wake me up. She goes, babe, you were so exhausted. I thought it was Saturday when I got up and I says, hey, are we still on? She goes, babe, it's Sunday.
Wow.
That's how physically draining it can be. I've never met anybody that could do it for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can't. You have to take your brain offline from that. So how do you train yourself to get prepared for that, to have that mindset when you really need it? I know we've gone over about 9 minutes and your time is valuable to you. I appreciate you guys allowing me to sit in and have this conversation with you.
Thank you.
Every one of y'all have brought something great to the table. I love your passion. Don't ever stop.
Appreciate you, Troy. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Troy,
Thanks
thank you
much.
so much for taking time. Thank you.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Troy.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.